Senate Concurrent Resolution 21 by Senator Rubio relative to Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg Day.
Senator Rubio.
Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, today I rise proudly to present SCR 21, which honors the life and legacy of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. This resolution also proclaims March 15th, her birthday, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg Day. Today, we celebrate, remember, and honor Justice Ginsburg for being a vibrant guardian of equality for all. It was just a few months ago, on September 18th of 2020, that we were devastated to hear of her passing after a long battle with cancer. Although Justice Ginsburg is not with us today, she left a profound mark on American history, and the nation is deeply indebted to her. She certainly has left us very proud in this legislature, the Jewish Caucus and the Women's Caucus. I would like to share one of my favorite quotes from Justice Ginsburg. Permission to read?
Please proceed.
As she once said, women's rights are an essential part of the overall human rights agenda, trained on the equity of dignity and ability to live in freedom all people should enjoy. As we celebrate women's history, we must always remember to highlight women that were trailblazers and whose shoulders we all stand on. So recognizing Justice Ginsburg is obvious and necessary. She shaped American law for decades in the courts and helped pave path for civil and equal rights for women. She leaves a lasting legacy. Her landmark case, United States versus Virginia, ended gender segregation in public institutions and set the precedent for every gender equity victory that followed. She was a woman of Jewish faith who endured gender and religious discrimination that denied her employment opportunities. However, she overcame these challenges and broke many barriers. She graduated first in her class from Columbia Law School, became the first female professor to earn tenure at Columbia Law School, served as the first female member of the Harvard Law Review and Columbia Law Review, and later became the second woman appointed to the United States Supreme Court. Through litigation, community outreach, advocacy, and public education, Justice Ginsburg empowered all women, including women of color and also the LGBTQ community, who have been subject to gender bias and who face pervasive barriers for equality. She worked to ensure that everyone and their families could enjoy the benefits of full equality and participate in every sphere of society. Today, we recognize and honor Justice Ginsburg for her commitment and dedication for all. Thank you, members, and I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Rubio. Members, discussion and/or debate. Senator Borges.
Thank you, Madam President. When I was in law school, I took a tax class, and anybody who's taken a tax class in law school, the subject matter could certainly make your eyes bleed. But either way, the professor of this tax class was Ruth Bader Ginsburg's husband, and I enjoyed learning from him when I was there. But what really stood out is every so often, at the end of the day, there would be this person that would come onto campus, and she had a slight frame, very small, very petite. And that, of course, was Ruth Bader Ginsburg coming to have lunch or have a social engagement with her husband over at the law school. She would walk onto campus, even with her slight frame, she was a giant. And whether you agree with her political philosophies or her legal philosophies, I think is irrespective. At this point, she has truly made her mark as a member of the Supreme Court, for her contributions to the judiciary, and for that we certainly honor all that she has done to improve how our legal system works, how our equity system works, and most importantly, I think forcing us to look at what the law is and what it should be. And so with that, I want to applaud the author of this, this motion or this bill, the senator from Baldwin Park. I'm glad to support it.
Thank you, Senator Borges. Senator Durazo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I rise in support of this resolution celebrating our late Supreme Court Justice birthday. In her 27 years on the bench, Justice Ginsburg crafted a legacy that helped shape our society. So even if she was writing dissents against the majority decision, and she would say, the dissenters hope that they are writing not for today, but for tomorrow. An example of this is the Ledbetter case, attributed with influencing the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act. Just as important, Justice Ginsburg also had a lasting impact on immigrants, including helping to overturn the attempt to end the DACA program, voting with the majority to overturn the controversial 2010 Arizona SB 1070 that allowed officers to detain anyone that they suspected to be undocumented, voting in favor of upholding the constitutional rights for undocumented to challenge their detention in government custody. Justice Ginsburg best put it, a meaningful life means living for one's family and one's community, not for oneself. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator DeRosa. Senator Min.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I, too, rise today in support of SCR 21, authored by my colleague from Baldwin Park, which makes today, March 15th, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg Day. RBG lived a remarkable life, one centered on justice and equity, but she was not supposed to accomplish any of the amazing things she was known for. Her story is a testament to defying the odds, growing up female and Jewish and working class, at a time when being any one of those things was an impediment to success. My colleague from Baldwin Park laid out many of the remarkable glass ceiling shattering accomplishments of her career. I just want to point out that through that time, she never lost sight of her values. She fought tirelessly, relentlessly for equal rights, whether for women, for racial minorities, or the LGBTQ community. Whether as a young lawyer or while on the Supreme Court, Justice Ginsburg fought against discrimination and sought to empower marginalized communities in this country. She created a better world for us and for our children, and she blazed a trail for millions of young women and girls, including my 8-year-old daughter, Emmy, to follow. Now, after her death, we benefit from the fruits of her labor, but her legacy will continue to inspire us. Many have said, may her memory be a blessing and a revolution. And I want to just pause on this because it goes to the heart of how remembrance is active and not passive. If we want to truly honor the legacy of the notorious RBG, we must actively fight for progress and equality, even when, especially when, the odds seem stacked against us. That is the best way to honor her life. With that, I ask my colleagues to support this important resolution, but also to fight on for her memory and her legacy. May her memory be a blessing and a revolution. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator Min. Senator Melendez.
Thank you, Madam President. Ladies and gentlemen, I rise today also in support of SCR 21. Ruth Bader Ginsburg was indeed a giant among a sea of men, and she paved the way for many, many women to follow her. And I will tell you that my own niece, Isabella, was able to go to the Virginia Military Institute because Ruth Bader Ginsburg helped make that possible. So I am very grateful to her contributions. In fact, when I was in the Navy, I can recall wanting to fly aboard reconnaissance aircraft and being told I could not do that because women just weren't allowed to do that yet. It was only the men. And I was very puzzled by that. I thought, well, I can meet the same physical requirements. I can complete the same training. What do you mean I can't do this? It takes persistence in pushing, which is exactly what I did, and was able to, in fact, be able to fly on those aircraft. But it's people like Ruth Bader Ginsburg who really gives people like me and every other woman who comes after her kind of the courage to push back and say, no, I don't think so. I think this ought to be an opportunity available to everyone who can meet the standards. So I rise in support of SCR 21 today. I want to thank my colleague, Senator Rubio, for bringing it forward and ask for your aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Melendez. Senator Eggman.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker and members. I too rise on behalf of RBG Day. I think for any of us who are in this chamber, she has impacted all of our lives. When I think of any woman who has served in the military, especially who has been able to go to the academies, to know that she paved the way for that. The other thing that I always think about when I think about her is the quote I'm wearing on my mask. It says, fight for the things you believe in, but do it in a way that others will come along. And I reflect on her friendship with somebody who she diametrically was opposed to on issues on policy, Justice Scalia. But they were able to forge a friendship in spite of that. And I hope we can all follow in that too, that even when we dissent, even when our voice is in the minority, that it still counts and we still find ways to come together, as she did, and work for the best of this nation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Eggman. Senator Bates.
Thank you, Madam President. Actually, the good senator who just spoke, and I can't remember where you're from, actually covered my points, but I wanted to mention that I stand in strong support of this, and actually in honor of those let me gather my thoughts for a minute, guys. I get emotional on this. I think I'd like to just speak specifically about the courage that she showed. While many of us didn't agree with all and everything that she stood for and mentioned, she had the courage to come forward and speak up and take on issues that were not popular at the time. To me, that is a very important thing to reflect on as we look at that at today. One of her closest friends in the judicial realm was Anton Scalia, with whom she had disagreements, but respectful disagreements, and was able to pull together with him a respect for both sides of an issue. And that stands out, especially in these times when we see the contention that goes on with someone with some different beliefs and some of the really acrimonious discussions that we are hearing in our state capitol. So I'd like us to remember that she found a way, she set a path that we could all follow to respectfully disagree, but retain the friendships and the respect for humankind, because we're all here to work on the same issues in the betterment of our communities and certainly our nation, and keep it whole for the present and future generations. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Bates. Senator Wiener.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise today as Vice Chair of the Legislative Jewish Caucus in support of SCR 21. I'm proud that all of my Jewish caucus Senate colleagues are co-authors of this resolution. This past year, we lost Justice Ginsburg on the eve of Rosh Hashanah, the start of our high holidays and the start of our year. It was a strange and difficult high holidays given COVID restrictions during which many of us could not gather as a community. The news of Justice Ginsburg passing as we entered the holiday was especially devastating. As only the second woman and the first Jewish woman to serve on the Supreme Court, Justice Ginsburg's life and legacy remain a shining example of Jewish perseverance and moral leadership. While we are immensely proud of her work as a leading advocate for women and for progressive principles, we're particularly proud that Justice Ginsburg regularly attributed those values to her Jewish faith. In fact, at her confirmation hearing, when she was questioned about how her gender equality work might sensitize her to racial discrimination, Justice Ginsburg responded, quote, "One couldn't help but be sensitive to discrimination living as a Jew in America," end quote. Her mezuzah hung on her chamber door, and she quoted the Torah on her door. In 1996, Justice Ginsburg penned a New York Times op-ed entitled, "What Being Jewish Means to Me." In it, she wrote, quote, "I am a judge, born, raised, and proud of being a Jew. The demand for justice runs through the entirety of the Jewish tradition. I hope in my years on the bench of the Supreme Court of the United States, I will have the strength and courage to remain constant in the service of that demand." Justice Ginsburg absolutely embodied the core principle of tikkun olam in Judaism, healing the world. We mourn her, we miss her. I request an aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Weiner. Seeing no further discussion or debate, Senator Rubio, would you like to close?
Thank you, members, for all your kind words on her behalf. And I also want to thank my colleagues on this floor who are wearing her iconic collar in honor of her birthday. And with that, I respectfully ask for your aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Rubio. Members, is there any objection to using the unanimous roll call for this vote? Seeing and hearing none, ayes 39, noes 0, the resolution is adopted.